Brought to you by Hulu. Time to have great original shows and movies. Time to have Hulu.
Hey, good morning, party people. Happy Monday. I'm here with Eric and Danielle on a manic movie Monday. Movies are back, folks. They're back. Not just any movie, but Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, the only movie that matters. That's what we'll be talking about today, because that absolutely smashed. It smashed, it banged, it tooted, it booted the whole box office. And we'll be talking all about that. And then also Disney, they run the world both overtly and covertly through several lawsuits that just got settled, maybe predictably, but we'll talk about that as well as maybe having some more fun in the chat and talking through your fan questions. So keep those coming. On the bar to my left or right, I don't know. It's mirrored display. I can't even tell what's going on and where. But our top story, Venom, Let There Be Profits. Oh boy, did people see Venom this weekend? This was the biggest opening since what? One of a Star Wars?
In Star Wars Episode 9, I looked it up. Yeah.
Holy crap! Holy crap! So Venom is now in some rarefied air because it's like definitely the biggest pandemic opening for sure. But also like, man, the haters were wrong on this one because, and by haters, I mean critics, because you either need to like a movie or shut up because this got some really bad reviews, but that did not keep anybody from staying home. Oh, Eric actually didn't watch your review. I'm sorry. Did you like the movie?
I give it a total middle of the road. I said I gave it 3 out of 5, and I was being generous with that 3. But
yeah,
it doesn't need me. Doesn't need me.
Well, I guess that's my opening salvo. My opening question to you is why is Venom so successful? Any theories here?
It's La Venom. I don't know. I think the two things going in are, I mean, first of all, before these movies even began, Venom was like he had some hot topic credibility. Just the image of him was very popular, and then the weirdness of Tom Hardy doing his Tom Hardiness, and the fact that they centered this movie on this bizarre back and forth between them. It's weird in a fun way, and I guess people really clicked into the weird on this one. So yeah, it's I mean, look, unequivocally, it's two times in a row now. People are vibing with Venom. So yeah, I think people are just into how he looks and the weirdness of this central performance. I should say performance is, because Hardy's playing 2 roles basically.
Yeah.
So I did the review, the initial review for the first Venom. And I was super psyched on it because I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I love it so much. I need more. And it's been really interesting to me to watch other, I'm not film Twitter. I'm just a person that runs their mouth. I'm not film Twitter. Occasionally I do critiques of stuff, but I'm not like a film person. Like,
that's
I'm just
such
like
a film Twitter thing to say. My God.
I'm just some random asshole, right? And so, so it's been interesting to me to watch so many people now be like, in retrospect, the first Venom was really fun. It's like, oh, I know, right? Like the first Venom was really fun.
So it's Danielle's. So you are to blame / praise for the success of Venom 2. You were at least a trend spotter.
In as much as I like when things are stupid and fun, yeah, sure. and to be fair, I have not seen Venom 2 yet. It is on. I'm going to go see it this week. I just was not able to see it this weekend, but it doesn't surprise me that people are just looking for something that is an escape from anything right now. And like any big blockbuster movie is gonna do, well, not any, but any big blockbuster movie that looks like it's really fun, has ties into the MCU, and is just like dumb fun, is gonna do well right now because we are so desperate to be distracted from like how horrible the world is.
That's true.
Oh, baby.
And, I mean, yeah, and it is a different moment in the pandemic than it was, say, for like Black Widow or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can lump Venom in with like the MCU, because I think this is kind of a different genre of film. This is more in line with like a Fast and Furious for me, or like even going back to the early Transformers movies, where it's like everybody knows it's dumb. The audience does, the filmmakers do.
Right.
Tom Hardy, questionable. But to see something that's self-aware, and it A, doesn't take itself so seriously, but B, Well, there is no beat. It doesn't take itself very seriously.
It's the Magic Mike 2 of superhero movies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. You're just on a road trip with a sexy symbiote. But and also it kind of echoes the success of Venom's comic book run, which was like it's not very good considering like all Spider-Man runs and Spider-Man villains and stuff like that. He just looks cool. Kids love Venom. What can I say? They always have. They always will.
Kids love goo.
They do love goo.
Can't get enough of that good goo.
It's right franchise, right time, because look, it's notable that it's like the biggest opening of the pandemic, right? So bigger than the two actual MCU movies, bigger than a Fast and Furious movie, but it's only the second one. It's like the young and hungry one. And, people have mentioned that this is a very short movie, which is true. And one thing that made me laugh in watching Venom 2 is you can tell that they cut a bunch of stuff. There's a couple scenes. They use a reporter to give some exposition that was like 10 minutes of the movie. He's like, this happened and this happened. I'm like, oh, and that's all the stuff you cut. But it worked. I think that was the right call here, right? Because these are short, get in, get out, not a heavy lift. Get more of what you wanted. Like, to me, I said in my review that I found parts of this movie kind of annoying because they lean so into like, you like Venom and Tom Hardy arguing with each other. Guess what? We're going to give you like so much of that. But if you like that, this movie is delivering, right? It's like, okay, here you go. It's front and center and lots of wackiness and lots of Venom throwing out little non sequiturs. And sometimes Venom's kind of playing Mystery Science Theater with his own movie. And that's
great. Ryan dropped in the chat, people using the 90 minutes of it all as something that helped it. Yes, and I agree. Look, I don't think every movie should be 90 minutes, but every movie like this should be 90 minutes long. There's no need for a Fast and Furious, for example, to be 2.5 hours. It's definitely reached that zone to me. So I with this doing so well and Shang-Chi doing really well, No Time to Die had a huge opening overseas. I want to bring it all back to Dune. Are we going to get a Dune sequel or not? No, you don't have to answer that. Are movie theaters back? What do we think? Is this proof positive that pandemic or no, that the death of movie theaters may have been a little premature?
Yeah, I mean, it seems right. Like these big movies, if you're making a big movie that people want to see, like the danger right now, I think, is for the smaller movies because it's just harder to get people to go out for which was already becoming a struggle pre-pandemic.
Are they making smaller movies? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, I think they are, but
didn't Many Saints of Newark come out in theaters? And
it did.
Oh, no.
Nobody saw it.
Nobody went to see it.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went full Owen Wilson. Oh
my. So I think if it does show movie theaters are back, if you're delivering these big event movies that people want to see, the HBO Max of it all is interesting because Dune has been doing great overseas, but there is no HBO Max in most of those places. So it will be interesting to see if it's a lot lower here. And then they made that last minute decision to make Halloween Kills also on Peacock. And I wonder if they're looking at what Venom's doing and being like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Well,
HBO did also say that they will look at HBO Max numbers to factor into their decision for whether Dune gets a sequel. As I steer every topic gently back to Dune.
I think, Spencer, you're going to be happy. My gut is with the overseas numbers and with the HBO Max of it all, unless it's an outright disaster, they're like, okay, we got to make another one because you're looking at all the factors. My fingers are crossed for you, but I think you're going to be happy.
I guess. I'm very happy to hear that. Don't get me wrong. So
I don't know any.
I also I'm curious with the success of Venom 2, and the Spider-Man. That Sony still controls, the No Way Home, right? Like they still share.
Yeah, it's still them. They're still the ones distributing it. It's all based on that agreement they currently have. Yeah.
Are we going to just have this awkward stepfamily situation forever now that Sony seems to be able to kind of have their own Spider-Man franchise separate from Marvel? Like this, I feel like if this bombed, or any Sony bomb in the Spider-Verse, would bring that chatter up again. But there's no talk anymore, right? Of like, well, maybe we should just give complete control to Disney. No way.
We'll see what happens when Morbius comes out.
I think Venom 2 bought you a Morbius flop.
That's what I think too. Right? I think even if Morbius flops, they're like, we got the Venom bucks. So
are you looking forward to Morbius? Anyone here? Anyone?
Well, I think it could be no, I'm not looking. No, not really.
As a huge lifelong Spider-Man comic book fan, Morbius was never a favorite of mine. Like I get doing Craven, right? They're doing Craven after that. I get that, but like Morbius, there's nothing like I can't name my favorite Morbius stories.
He's like he's like an ugly vampire that preys on like weird college students. Like there's nothing sexy, and I'm sorry, we need our vampires.
That sounds like Jared Leto's music festival. So if it was that documentary, which I'm sure is being worked on right now, go look it up. Anyways, let's move on. Anybody else in the chat have more to say about Venom 2? Please drop it in. But I think, long story short, movies are back and they're all about Venom, baby. Get with it. Get with the times.
And Venom 3 through 8 greenlit tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. Probably. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, bell. You know the drill. All right. Now we move on to things that I have only the most tenuous grasp of the inner workings of, but we'll attempt to summarize anyways. Remember that Scarlett Johansson Disney Black Widow lawsuit? They semi-quietly settled after the noise died down. Remember when Scarlett was like, you released this on Disney Plus and didn't pay me my money, and they were like, you COVID, you're bad. And they look pretty dumb in that situation, and yet the playing the tiniest violin for Scarlett Johansson to only get $20 million instead of $40 million. But this could have been, if she had taken this to court, this could have been something where actors do have more leverage, and at least they would be forced to open up the books for streaming and the numbers and how things are allocated and how they're paid, which Disney was never going to do. It is much cheaper to write Scarlett Johansson, just keep adding zeros to the check until Scarlett nods her head. It's
not even Disney. No one goes to court. Everything settles. Everything. I don't have my glasses. It works so much better to be the smart lawyer person when you have your glasses. My glasses broke. Anyway, it's fine. It's nothing ever, everything settles. And this does set a good precedent. Look, if you have a contract, I know we do not feel super sorry for Scarlett Johansson. Like, she is totally fine. I know that as someone who represents the Asian American community, people are really excited. But it is like, no one's like super like, hey, Scarlett Johansson, because like we're excited for her to get money, but it does set a really good precedent of these companies admitting that they do owe money. And it's good for smaller actors to be able to get what they are due.
But doesn't settling prevent that from really happening, right? Like
no.
Okay.
No, everyone settles. Like, going to court is so friggin' rare. Going to court is so rare. It really is. Like, you figure it out. It's like, look, it's your team of lawyers, their team of lawyers. You're in a mediation office. You're in 2 separate rooms. They order in Zanku, and like you're like, and then there's one mediator going from back and forth and back and forth. And the number that you initially said that you would have wanted when you asked for the demand before, they were like, well, now you have to sue us and go through the entire thing, winds up being the number that it winds up being anyway.
Yeah. It seems like every corporate lawyer has Edward Norton's job from Fight Club, like where there's the horrible accidents and he has to just put them into a formula to say, is it worth more to just pay these people out or to issue a recall? You love to see it. But
sorry, I got on my law box for a second. It's been so long.
So everybody put out statements, congratulating each other for how magnanimous they're all being and no harm, no foul. And she's really excited to creatively contribute to the Tower of Terror movie.
They made sure to get the plug-in. They all made sure to get the plug-in for Tower of Terror. It was incredible.
Oh man.
Well, hey, Disney Twitter was following that, right? They're like, does this mean the Tower of Terror movie's not happening when the lawsuit was underway? So
yeah, and like
not even doing that right anymore. Anyway, it's fine.
Eric, you're a Disney head. I mean, there's and I don't, not you personally, but I'm just saying, I feel like there's nothing Disney could do in like a cheapskate way or like underhanded business dealing way that would make people stop watching Disney films and visiting Disney parks.
It would be pretty extreme, right? Pretty extreme. Yeah, we'd have to go to some ghastly places, I think, with that. Yeah, I mean, I always knew this was going to settle, maybe not as quickly, because when it started, it was like so oddly ugly with Disney's response to her. That's what surprised a lot of people, was like Disney is usually not so bad with PR about like how they responded publicly with that. But yeah, they were always going to settle. And there was interesting, some of the articles I was reading about how Emma Stone, because there was rumblings she might also do a lawsuit like this, and then they quickly announced she was doing Cruella 2, and basically that they gave her this incredibly good deal for Cruella 2 that was basically like, don't sue us, we're sorry, for doing the same thing on Cruella on the first one. But yeah, it's like, yeah, they like you said, Danielle, it's like it was always gonna settle. They never wanted the books open. I think, we'll see. Like we talked about how HBO Max, it was interesting. Their tactic was, we're just going to announce this, piss all of our actors off, and then we're going to pay them a fortune. They all got paid as if the movie was a giant monster worldwide hit. I don't know why they didn't do that with her in the first place, because that's what ended up happening, right? She got like 40 million extra, if Deadline's right, on top of the 20 million she got paid. But yeah, I think what we're going to see now is just all these contracts. Disney right now has announced the rest of the year is theaters only. They're not going to be doing the dual releases, but no one knows what the future holds. So all these big contracts are going to have the in case of caveat. They're going to be like, this is what they get for theatrical. They get this percentage of the gross. But if you change the distribution, so that's like this. I think that's the big fallout from this, is that no contract will just be like, here's what you get for theaters. It's going to have to account for all the variables here.
Spencer, I'm so glad that you're hosting today, because if I was hosting, I literally would have had a whole game of what does Disney have to do for people to cancel Disney, and it would have been super bad. It would have been terrible. It would have been awful.
I mean, there's already so much. That's what I'm saying. It's like it has to be the aristocrats.
What did they build Space Mountain on top of?
Yeah, there's already enough dead bodies in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, that's by choice. That's by choice. People want to sprinkle their ashes in there. But speaking of contracts and Hollywood and labor struggles, breaking news. We do have a strike authorization from the International Association of Theatrical Stage Employees. Has just their membership with 98% support and 90% turnout has said that, if you have to in these negotiations coming up, we can throw ourselves upon the gears of the machinery. Hopefully not literally, but these are the people who work on stage and on studio lots, and without which you can't make film or TV. And they have been working very hard and have all of the downsides of coronavirus upon them, with none of the upsides of the $40 million payouts. So this has been brewing. It is it's really tough to work on set in the best of conditions, and these have not been the best of conditions. So we will keep you posted. I'm just reading the article as we're walking.
They don't let them sit on a lot of sets, which I think is weird.
They don't get meal breaks. They have to work insane turnarounds from super long shifts.
16 hours.
Yeah. And they basically lose their Saturdays, because they do the thing where they start shooting really late on Friday. So you're like wrapping at like 6 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then
let the record show, when I was a PA for Screen Junkies, I sat as much as I wanted.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Good.
We didn't have 16-hour days.
Occasionally there's like the Doug Benson 12. The roast went overtime a little bit, but that was the only time we ever got close to overtime, which is over 12, which is also paid for.
12 hours. 12 hours.
Yeah, 12 hours is a regular day. That's
a regular day.
A regular day, so people don't know. 8 hours aren't a thing. 6 hours is a half day.
It also is for writers and stuff, but that's
right. Yeah.
So it's wild. Yeah, and I don't know exactly which gigs are part of this union. Like, is it editors too? Is it? I know it's a lot of people who are very essential to the process.
So it's like pretty much almost all like on-set crew. I know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see what other guilds maybe throw their weight behind it. But yeah, I mean, this isn't something that you can't scab your way through a big production. There's too many skilled people who do this work. So we'll keep you posted with negotiations, but that could be something that slows down, if not grinds to a halt, production in this country. So, or I guess it's international. I don't know. Is that just like something that they put in the name, or is it really worldwide? So I feel like they don't have to do this.
I'm sure at least North America to some extent, because there's enough filming just Canada alone. There's so much filming that you would at least need to have some type of internationalness just to let people work in Toronto, So I assume that covers at least most of North America, if not other places that they shoot.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if there is a strike and how long it lasts. Because I don't know how many people can really remember, especially people watching. I mean, like what it was like when the last big strike happened, the writers' strike in late 2007.
That's how you get a Quantum of Solace, folks.
That's how you get a Quantum of Solace and a Transformers 2. Lots of great movies came out of that where they basically were like, pens down, stop writing. But also just weird stuff that happened at the time, like CBS, because they didn't have any shows, did a extra season of Big Brother. Like, okay, we can get some people in a house, and they put Dexter on CBS primetime and just cut out a lot. I want to see shit go crazy like that again. If there's another strike.
Nobody wants a strike. We want them to get paid and get breaks and get all the things that they deserve. But a strike is really the only leverage that people who aren't named Scarlett Johansson have.
Right. And a lot of people pointed out, it's like, a lot of the things is that they're working under agreements from the last time this was negotiated that were about new media, and the idea that like new media didn't have to do all the same qualifications, except now it's like 12 years later and new media is media, because new media at the time meant like streaming shows. That's an idea. And now that's like the thing. So it's time to modernize, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you go. So we'll briefly now touch on, unless you had final thoughts, Danielle, we can talk about the coming public domainification of Doctor Strange or not, or whatever's happening in that second lawsuit.
What? Yeah, no, I'd mostly just let people pee and like sit down. That's the only thing I had to say.
It's not that hard.
It's really not that hard. Like, honestly, if you had just let people pee and sit the fuck down. Ooh, I used our young thing. Have lunch. You could have avoided. People would have allowed themselves to be exploited for years. You just gotta let people pee, man.
Let people pee.
Yeah, let the people pee. All right, now speaking of the people, again another David versus Goliath. If David were also fantastically wealthy. I'm not sure in every case, but the heirs of Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, Gene Colan, creators of Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Falcon, Thor. You may have heard some of these names. These are the people who created them and are suing for shared control of the copyrights and of the attached intellectual property. Of course, when they created them, they were working for Marvel, which throws a complicated legal wrench into things. Like if you make something while you work for a company, is it in your contract that they own it and you don't? Usually, but it doesn't hurt to try because this has happened in the past. They famously, Siegel and Schuster unsuccessly tried to terminate copyright with DC and regain control of that, but they didn't.
Superman. He's talking about Superman. Yeah. People don't know.
Sorry.
and then I believe a few years ago, Jack Kirby, who co-created with Stan Lee a bunch of the main Marvel characters, his estate sued, and there was a settlement. For something.
So there was also like a whole Ghost Rider thing about 10 years ago as well. That's mentioned in the article, but a similar lawsuit with the character Ghost Rider.
So yeah, it seems like this is going on again. It's an angle for a settlement because it's again cheaper to write, Shirley Lee. I don't know what his children's name are. Dan Ditko or whoever their kids are. An 8-figure check than it is to share the copyright of billion-dollar franchises. So that seems like this is where that's going, right?
Yeah. So there has been a thing. I'm going to butcher this. There was, and Eric, you can help me out on this, because of how much the elders in the comic book community, the people that created the things that we love, like there have been so many, like in the 90s especially, like so many of them, they were like, he died alone and like a studio apartment, like blah blah blah. So there was a charity, and I believe they're still going, called Actor. Do you remember what Actor stood for? I think it was Actor.
Sorry.
It was something like that. So there have been a couple of charities that have just been done by people that have been like or like a tribute to our roots or like something like that, that have been for people who have created all of these characters that you love, who have literally been like passing away because they didn't have health insurance, living in squalor and these like not like studio apartments without bathrooms. Like it was really bad. And a lot of that stuff came out during the 90s. And so that was one of the reasons why, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. One of the reasons why like in the 90s, the creator owned movement became so big was because there were all of these stories about people who were like, we created all of these things that you liked and they died pissing and shitting themselves in like their own bed alone. And so it became like this huge thing. And that was part of what, and now so many creators are doing creator-owned stuff. There was like that huge movement, like Image was created, like all of these things. And so I don't know, I'm really like, just give Steve Ditko's kids money. Like they deserve it. I'm sorry. Like he did the work and I have very complicated feelings about inherited wealth, but I like the precedence of saying if someone created something that is making you bajillions of dollars, you owe them something. Sure. And they might not be alive to see it, but all of these people taking action to do it means that people in the future won't necessarily like have to. Maybe they'll be like more forgiving. I love Marvel. I love the MCU. I like a lot of Disney stuff, but I also really, really, really enjoy the idea of people being paid for the stuff that they created if it's making a huge corporation a lot of money.
Of course. I mean, yeah, Steve Ditko's kids have as much to do with the success of these things as any flunky in Disney corporate for sure. So they should be splitting that check.
And Ryan did say like there's a clarification lawsuit comes from Disney Marvel. They are suing to keep 100% control. That's not going to happen. They're going to settle. Like right, yeah, I'm calling it. They're going to settle.
Yeah, I think there's just a couple questions in the chat. I just want to make sure that they understood that the lawsuit itself is from Disney and Marvel, not but of Disney, suing to keep that control, not the opposite.
Yeah. And they might, I mean, they might end up keeping control, but there will be a payout. Right. I think no matter what, this probably ends with these families getting some money. The worst case scenario for Disney, I'm not being woe as Disney here, but like say you're Disney and the worst thing the thing you want to happen the least is that they do lose partial control, which doesn't mean, oh no, they can't use Spider-Man anymore. Oh no, the MCU is gone. It means they have to pay people on an ongoing basis, which of course they don't want to do. They want to keep that money. But that would be the worst case scenario, not that these characters go away and they can't control them at all.
Right. Everyone wants that Spider-Man to make money. All of it, like they all want Spider-Man to make money. Yeah. They just also feel like the people who were responsible for creating these characters.
They're not going to Calvin and Hobbes it and be like, now that we have 50% control, you'll never see Spider-Man again.
Okay, but how funny would it be if it's just like amazing. Spider-Man peeing on like a license plate that says "Don't tread on me"?
It's coming. And yeah.
There's one more thing. Ryan. Sorry. And as Suze Vera says in the chat, so the suit's coming from Marvel and Disney as basically a countersuit to a claim that their Ditko's estate made in August. So everyone's has a side on this, but there's a suit going on, there's a countersuit going on that's all kind of wrapped up in whatever precedent is going to get settled here when they eventually settle, like Danielle said.
Yeah. Now I was confused. I said public domainification earlier on. That was something else that I was reading that public domain rules are like 70 years after the death of the creator or the work or something like that, which is, it used to be like 30, but Disney extended it to keep control of their stuff. But I think unless they do a big lobbying campaign, I think I read that Mickey Mouse is going into the public domain in 2024. So I'd be super excited to see.
Don't tread on me.
SJU's newest panelist,
Mickey Mouse. Get ready, which would be lovely.
It's so we're seeing all these lawsuits right now. Again, it's like a hill. We could do another hour on this, but which we won't. But it's like there was something happened in the 70s that basically I think where rights would revert back to like the original the person or their heirs after a certain amount of time, and that's what we're seeing all these lawsuits. One that I could go way into the weeds on is the Friday 13th one, which the writer just won again of the original movie, that like he now has the rights to the original movie. But again, that's a case where even though he's now won twice, he only has the rights to the original movie in the US, doesn't have the adult version of Jason Voorhees, who was created in the sequels. So it's not like he can do a lot with that. It will ultimately end to make another Friday the 13th movie, which eventually will happen with people teaming up who might not like each other, but who can't really, because no one wants what will seem like the brand X of Jason or Mickey Mouse or anything. Like, oh, I have the character, but I don't have any of the supporting characters. I don't have like all the trappings that are still owned by that company. And so that's why, you know, people end up having to team up who might not want to team up. But it doesn't mean the characters just go away. It just means like the lawyers get richer and the deals get more.
Don't they all? Yeah. Eyes of the Fox put into the chat that the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey goes into public domain, not the modern version.
Right.
Sort of, yes, but no. The same article, it was like the Steamboat Willie one is even sooner. I think it's like next year, and then the modern one is like 3 years after that. So they're not.
They have trademarks to cover them in all these other ways, right?
Modern Mickey's not far behind. No, Mickey's going on SJU. It's going to happen.
Yes, the new mascot. That's SJU.
All right, that's enough boring talk about the things that actually affect Hollywood.
I could talk about this all day. I'm so sorry. I love this stuff.
I've been, guys, if I went, as much as I love Marvel, you know me and horror, I've been following this Friday 13th lawsuit stuff for a long time.
But enough vegetables. Let's slather it in some whipped cream. Radar City Update channel asks, who's the worst celebrity to be your symbiote?
So
Grimes.
like
I'm gonna say Grimes.
So to be your symbiote, so it's like
like they live inside you and like you have to listen to them talk.
Chet Hayes.
But is he doing the Jamaican patois or not?
Wagwan.
Wagwan, Danielle.
Hey, yeah.
Chet Hayes.
I'll go with a great actor that everyone has agreed is so notoriously grumpy to talk to in bad interviews. We can all just talk about it openly, which is Tommy Lee Jones, because I just feel like he would be curt and complainy in my ear all day.
He would not sanction any of your buffoonery.
No.
All right. Langley M. Neely writes, what's up, Langley? What former TV series would you like to see a follow-up film from? Like The Many Saints of Newark, which is for The Sopranos. They should have called it The Sopranos. No one knows what The Many Saints of Newark actually is.
I know they kind of tried to add at the last minute a Sopranos story, like it was Star Wars. Now that's a prequel. So do we want to use?
Doesn't have to prequel. It could be a sequel or a prequel movie.
Well, okay, I'll just do one that just had its 20th anniversary, and I watched the pilot again, and it's such a great pilot, so I was feeling nostalgic, and say Alias. Let's find out what Sidney Bristow's up to. Because when Alias was great, it was freaking great, and then it was terrible. But there was a couple years of true greatness there. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind a one-off movie follow-up on that.
It's so hard. So I will say, a lot of people come together to make TV shows. They are never just about one person. A lot of people come together. I would love to see like a Buffy movie.
Sure.
I would love it.
Who's writing and directing?
I think it's got to be Marnie.
All right. I would do like a Nomadland version of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, where it's like partially Guy Fieri in character, but partially just him, maybe with Frances McDormand, just driving across country and experiencing, different diners, drive-ins, and dives for about 2 hours. Just stunning vistas, and maybe their Cadillac breaks down somewhere around Indio, and they get like towed to a backyard barbecue. I just want to see, I want more Triple D content. But he said former. I think they're still making Triple D, even though I'm a Guy's Ranch Kitchen.
You just want franchising happening.
Days. Yeah, more franchise, the Guy verse.
They will make Triple D until we die.
Yes, they should.
You know what? I will find Triple D restaurants in towns I'm visiting till I die. So it works out.
No, I absolutely have. I have driven hours to find Triple D restaurants.
Oh yeah, my wife and I, when we're in different cities we've never been to, we're like, "Ooh, what's the Triple D restaurants we got to go to?" And they're almost always good, by the way. So thank you, Guy.
All right, so this is a good one from D.A. Baracus. Tom Hardy is an extremely talented actor, but also eccentric and drawn to strange roles. How long before he completely morphs into Nick Cage? I don't think he will unless he gets a castle and dinosaur skull buying habit, which he might have, and he just hasn't run out of money yet. But the reason we get so much from Nick Cage in such weird offbeat movies is because, man, these meteorites don't pay for themselves, and he went very broke and needs to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Taxes, right? Like, I feel like wasn't it like he's one of the ones who had like a tax thing?
Yep.
Which I feel like I wish Black actors, y'all got to pay your taxes, because like I think we could have gotten that same renaissance out of like a Wesley Snipes, but he had to like skadoots because he.
Well, why didn't I was going to say, if you get in tax trouble, then you just have to do every direct to DVD movie. Why didn't we get the Snipes first that we deserved?
Yeah, we didn't, and we should have. Yeah.
I guess it's either do a direct to DVD movie about you fighting a cage of bees, or move to, where did Wesley Snipes go? The Cayman Islands.
I don't. Well, Sinbad moved to the Bahamas.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw some headline the other day on Twitter that was like, Tom Hardy talks about how he like, you know, came up with his Bane voice, and I made a silly tweet that I'll repeat now, which is just like, you know, look, Tom Hardy, the two things Tom Hardy loves is to cover his own face and to find a funny voice. So when you get him roles where he can do both, like Venom or Bane or even Mad Max, he managed to cover his face for part of, he's just like, that's my thing. You know, I want to be muffled and weird. and I'm in my happy place.
We'll close with this. Evan J. Pretzer, welcome back. When I was in Florida, I saw what looked like Lon's evil twin. If the group had evil twins, would you prevail over them in battle or lose? What does Lon's evil twin look like? Just a mustache? How do you tell?
Clean shaven?
Yeah. So how do you think you'd fare against your evil twin? This can be an intellectual, physical, or both.
Well, my evil twin is Lizzo, so I don't know, either that or Nicole Byer.
Like solo.
I'm fighting a combination of Lizzo and Nicole Byer, and I would not win. There's no way. Lizzo is so fit, like she is. Her cardio is crazy.
But you're saying she's evil. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well.
I'll say I'll lose. I just figure, you know, the evil twin of me, they'll probably be diabolical. I'm going to give them credit as a clever evil one, and they'll be my match and more. I'll be out.
Yeah, I don't know if this says, you know, me and the American Puritan work ethic, but I feel like my evil twin, like the evil part of me, is like super lazy and is just on the couch back there with a bong, and it's like, so I could probably kick the shit out of that guy. I could just be like, you suck. So I like my chances against the evil twin, because he's just slapping
the bait.
He's just slapping the bait. Yeah, not even slapping, just noodling, just like a 7-minute long like fish jam session that no one wants to listen to, and he is very
Don't tell Max who said that.
He's very easy to defeat in battle. That's our show. That's the kind of stuff you get: lawsuits and base fights. We'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do Australia's commentaries. We'll be back Wednesday because the news is finally starting to happen again, and we'll be there to report it right here with you on SJU. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
This episode was brought to you by Hulu.